Okay, today is Wednesday, 17 January 2024, as of filming this. I'm Tanis Leonhardi. It's my YouTube channel, Tanis Leonhardi. I'm doing my reading notes I'm doing for this video a 30 pages per day, increasing, from yesterday. The Race of the Century, The Battle to Break the 4-Minute Mile by Neal Bascomb. So we're going to try and integrate feedback in the form of views. My best performing notes video in a short turnaround time was the one I did it with a snack in the video. So I'm doing it at my sweet and or savory eats video of the day is going to be this video. Unless I decide, or I might do another one, but this is tentatively it. So I'm going to do something I've done so you're getting reading notes and a snack. With a small snack. It's a small snack. So it's a half of an apple, Fuji apple, and 2 The Laughing Cow spreadable cheese wedges, creamy, light. So here they are. And this is founded in 1921 in France. It's a French food. And there's a French name in addition to the English, The Laughing Cow. And so what do I have? So that's the snack. And then I ate the other half of this apple and 2 spreadable cheese wedges last night at critter mealtime dinner, and was sitting on the steps of the deck watching the critters, making sure the crows didn't get their food. I went out this morning and the weather started to warm up a little bit, but not enough, and I went out and I was putting peanuts out, and I was going to put some peanuts under the redwood tree, and there had been some ice on some of the paved surfaces, so I was like, okay, whatever. I was walking on the grass and it was fine, and I stepped on the hill going down. You want to see what happened? The scene of the crime. But it was just me. Right there, that hill past the bench with that little thing. I stepped down and it was pure ice, sheer ice. And I went, and well, before that, the hand is slightly red and puffy still, but I fell down and dropped the peanuts, and my hand's still a little bit pink and swollen, red, pink and swollen. This one, I fell on this one to brace my fall, and afterwards I pick up the peanuts and I'm gonna go back to put stuff under the redwood tree, and a squirrel comes up to me and he's like, "Are you okay?" It's like, oh, how sweet. Anyway, so this is a variation that related to the snack. In my running training, I'm not going to go out and run. I'm a road runner. I'm not going to go out and run in these conditions when the pavement is sheer ice. I'm not seeking injury with my running training. So not today, getting back out there. But I've done a variation of this where I do 2 cheese wedges with an English muffin, and so I've done 2 cheeses with the English muffin, 2 cheese wedges with a half apple or a full apple, and those snacks I've been doing for a while, both here in Washington State and outside of Washington State. And then one last note for my notes video yesterday, I started filming at 4:50 p.m. and I had my door open and the windows were like pinkish. Yeah, the sun has been setting. This is a northern state in the United States of America, and as of filming this, the sun has been setting about 4:45 p.m. So if somebody's in their car or outside and saying they're filming it at 5 p.m. and it's like full sunlight and the sun's out and stuff, I'm like, well, either they're lying, they're not in Washington State or a northern state, when they're filming it, or they filmed it in a different season and are posting it. A lot of YouTube channels have kind of stock videos that when it becomes timely, they post, even if it was filmed in a different season, kind of thing. So, yeah. All right, so that's the introduction. Anything YouTube specific? Yes, 30 pages in one day. So different approach. I read it earlier. And so let's go through. It focuses on the 3 guys that this author has decided to focus on, none of which were the record holders in the 1 mile run. So I think that at this point, and that finally gets brought up in this section, is that the world record is held by somebody else. And so, but they don't actually provide like the full name or nationality or anything of the world record holder. So I was like, so that would have been good. I don't know. Information to include is kind of Well, at least providing the name of the world record holder. But, you know, this book, I guess I'm finding, is not about context, right? About the full kind of spread and accurate context at the time. There's kind of cherry picking what the author wants to talk about. So yeah, and then I'll start with this. So it starts by the author decides to kind of trash talk John Landy, the Australian guy, who's doing all this stuff and running at all these national competitions, and then the author provides his opinion about, well, clearly he's not doing it for national honor kind of thing, and I'm like, action speaks louder than words. He's the only person, right, actively doing all of his competitions at national competitions and doing his best times and stuff, and so it's kind of like, clearly, so the author's American, and Americans this book is first edition March 2022, so clearly in the time of trashful Australians. And then the bulk of the section focuses on the United States of America and West Santee. And I thought, and kind of, this is about the races they're running and trying to bring their times down. And it really briefly brushes on Roger Bannister in this section. And I would say my snack is delicious. But the Roger Bannister and John Landy kind of sound the most mature of the two, and in this section they're interesting. They both kind of changed their approach to their running style. So they've gotten thus far with kind of one approach, and so both of those people, John Landy, the Australian, and Roger Bannister, the Englishman, actually kind of do a 180 in their training. And West Santee, the American, just kind of keeps doing the same thing. And so what John Landy does is he kind of pivots from doing kind of really a team-centric training approach to really focusing on himself, because he's out there running and he'll finish, you know, tens of seconds or, you know, tens of yards ahead of the rest of the runners. So he's kind of like, okay, I need to work on myself. Which is a pivot change from his previous training routine. And for Roger Bannister, he'd been training alone and stuff, and it's just not working, so he focuses more in on a kind of a team and coach dynamic. And West Santee just kind of keeps doing the same thing. So that's kind of developed, that dynamic, those changes start to develop in here. It starts to touch a little bit more on more press coverage, because they're getting faster and they're going after this 4-minute mile. I think perhaps the most notable thing is the Australian guy just got attacked by the press when he ran in a previous section for running a 4-minute 2.1 second mile and setting an Australian record, and they're like, but he can't do that, you know. Kind of in today's world, they might have just like gone on and said he cheated, or, you know, dolphin kicks on the breaststroke, you know, that kind of stuff, just to smear him even though it didn't happen, kind of thing. All right, and then the Americans come along, or this American comes along, no doubt. Oh, he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. He's the king. No questioning of him whatsoever. And Roger Bannister, the English guy, also gets scrutiny, like the Australian. And I'm like, how bougie, plush the Americans have it in sports, huh? Just follow the lead of somebody else and don't get questioned. So how many Americans have cheated then? Right? So I thought that was kind of an interesting dynamic, right? West Santee's not the first to run that fast, not the most recent, but he gets luxurious and very privileged treatment by the press, where there's no scrutiny, whereas the others before him and after him get scrutiny from the press. I guess it's just, you know, there's social identities, and perhaps the most privileged social identity of the current times, and back then as well, the 1950s, being American. No matter one's race. Right. Literally, the 1 mile run. Okay, so, and that carries to today as well, and things like ethnicity. Right? As long as one's American, they get great press kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of, I should focus on my finishing my small snack. It's very good. I would say in my own personal life, pursuits, career pursuits, John Landy is kind of a bit of a fit. And especially the end of this section, it talks about how he gets really fed up with running. So it goes to search and see if he can find a certain butterfly. And I'm like, that's me and my rocks, man. I went to Scotland to look for a very particular rock and I finally found a piece. Alright, when I get tired of something, I reintroduce some of the other stuff I've enjoyed and might have dropped off a bit on. I like Kyle Chandler's and his childhood love of swimming the stroke butterfly. I'm reintroducing that and to kind of help with getting tired maybe of freestyle. It's like what I do. I'm like reading this and I'm not Australian, and a bunch of Australians come from other places by their ancestral origins. And I'm like, haha, consistent. Last section I identified with John Landy the Australian as well. And this time it has not changed. Plus he goes for a run in like the middle of the night. And when I lived in California, I used to go for walks at like really odd times. And I was like, damn. Somebody pulls over to him drunk and he's like, it's not like you're John Landy. What do you think you're doing out here? And it was John Landy. And you're like, yeah. Sounds about like my life. You're not Tanis. You don't do what I want you to do. You're not Tanis. Nope. I am. You're just stuck in a mental illness state of non-acceptance. And not being able to accept the world and reality around them. Alright. So that's my reading notes for today. Snack. 60 out of 10. Half apple, 40 to 60 calories depending on the size of the apple. 2 cheese wedges, they're 25 each, so 50 calories. So this is a good 90 to 110 calorie snack. It has vitamin A, a little bit of sweet in the apple, savory in the cheese, protein, a little bit of fat, and some calcium. Happy day and time of viewing whenever you're viewing this. Happy place of viewing this wherever you're viewing this from.